Over the past couple of years, central banks have been taking an increasing interest in issues related to environmental sustainability. A particular issue that we are looking at is the question as to what central banks can do to help mobilize the financial resources that will be necessary to finance the transition to a more sustainable global economy. And this is where central banks' reserve portfolios are coming in. And in particular, the question as to how they can integrate sustainability objectives into existing reserve management frameworks.
Taking this step is not trivial. Reserve managers, before worrying about financial return, need to take care about two more important objectives: liquidity and safety. In balancing these two against returns, they usually face trade-offs that they need to model. Now, that being said, introducing sustainability turns these three objectives into four, and we seek to answer whether this adds additional trade-offs. They may come at the cost of liquidity, safety, or return. We thought it would be a good idea to ask reserve managers directly whether sustainability fits within their frameworks. The survey, with close to 70 participants, showed that even though the general framework for policymaking in central banks does not include sustainability, they think there is room for introduction in the reserve management process. We also asked what tools they thought were useful for doing this. 76% of participants said that green bonds were the preferred tool. This is what led us to consider green bonds as a useful case study.
On this basis, we assess green bonds against criteria related to liquidity, safety, and return. And we find that the accessibility of green bond markets and hence their liquidity still pose some constraints. However, in terms of safety and return, we do find no real cost from the integration of green bonds into reserve portfolios. In particular, the so-called greenium, which assumes that investors have to pay up for the privilege of being invested in green bonds, does no longer exist. And we also find support for diversification benefits.